Welcome to the Why Music podcast, where we talk to independent artists about their journeys, the inspirations behind their music, and ultimately why they make music. This next artist is a Cali-born but Nashville-based singer-songwriter. Packing her songs full of folklore and mystery, she tells a new tale with every song she writes. Welcome, ØDEGÅRD.
Nice. I like that. Thank you.
Thanks
Me
for
too.
being here. I always like to start with where your music journey all began.
Mm. Oh, yes. So, I feel like for some people, music just was handed down to them through the family line. There are opera singers, I think, literally on both sides of my family, like in the, ancestral whatever. And my mom named me after the street that she took piano lessons on, like ironically. And I'm the one person in my family who's the professional musician. So it's funny how that started. But growing up, like we were just so musical as a family. There were so many instruments being learned, and we were always singing together. Um, and I started being in choirs, like in a little church choir, when I was like 5. So I just started being in choirs when I was very young, but consistently starting to do music was when I was 10. I started in this youth choir and started taking piano lessons around that time. And then 13 years old, I started taking voice lessons. And then from then on, it was opera, competitive singing, collegiate singing. Um, and that's kind of where it all started. It was just kind of a little bit as a kid, and then I started to get attention, like, oh, she might be a good singer, and then let's get her in voice lessons, and then, oh, let's do voice competitions. And it kind of became my identity when I was in high school, I think. Yeah.
You became the true choir kid, if you will.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, I wasn't a theater kid, but I was definitely like, I was the choir girl for sure, through and through. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so then how did that turn into writing music, doing the artist thing? Like what took us from choir girl to the artists that we have now?
It was a long journey, Ava. Very long journey. Oh my goodness. Where do I start? So, okay. I've always tinkered on the piano. Um, I wrote like a little song when I was maybe 8, and my sister helped me make it rhyme. But there wasn't a whole lot of like singing that I was coming up with. But I tinkered on the piano. I like wrote some things on there. I wanted to be an author, so I started writing stories. I never wrote out the plot. I just started writing it. So I never finished the stories, but I was always very creative from the start. But when I started taking voice lessons, that's when I think I really grabbed on to oh, I'm noticed for singing. I should do what people want me to do so I can be noticed more. And that was in the classical realm. Because when I was, gosh, 12, 13, I sounded like an old woman when I sang. Like there was something about my voice that I just sounded really old. I sounded older, so it stuck out to people. But yeah, so I started doing classical singing simply because I was like, yes, this is what gets people to like me, which is so sad, but that's what happened. And I just kind of ran with that all in high school, a lot through college. Um, but I didn't even like opera that much. Classical music is fun in some senses, but I didn't like it that much. And it took me a long time of being able to kind of separate myself from what people wanted from me, to what I wanted. So I ended up going to 3 different colleges. I stopped going to college around junior year. And it was a whole thing. Like I had voice health issues. I had stopped singing like 3 different times. Um, I had the idea like, oh, maybe I'll get into music education and I'll be a voice teacher. And um, I liked that idea. And so I actually started teaching music classes after college at this like small private school. And it was fun, but I was still pretty detached from what I really liked. And so at one point I was thinking about committing to this 3 year program of being trained how to be a specific kind of music teacher. And I was going to commit that amount of years to this school. And I remember thinking about that. I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't want to commit 3 years to teaching. I want to be an artist. And it was just kind of like a come to Jesus moment where I was like, what am I doing with my life? I need to change gears or else I'm going to be stuck in this. And I don't really like it that much, which is wild. So at that point, I had been dabbling in songwriting for maybe 2 or 3 years. And I really liked it a lot. And I was thinking, yeah, maybe I'll join a band or I'll make one. And um, so at that point, I was already thinking, like, okay, if I wanted to do the artist thing, maybe I would move somewhere for that, specifically Nashville. And so I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to commit to 3 years of teaching. And I really do want to pursue this music thing. Like, I really do. It took a long time for me to come back to it, but I did. And I decided, I was like, all right, I'm just going to move to Nashville. I need change. Nashville's cheaper than Santa Cruz, California. Um, my sisters lived in Nashville at the time. And so I was like, perfect. I have built in a community right off the bat. And then Nashville is like just a great place for singer-songwriters. And so that's really what made me decide to do it. It was kind of coming to the point of like, okay, I've kind of exhausted all of these options. Don't really like opera. Don't really want to be a teacher because I like it, but not that much. I love writing and performing. Like, I think I should pursue this. And so that's what took me from opera to singer-songwriter. Yeah.
I mean, I think I like the point that you made about it being what you wanted versus what, kind of whether that be the path that was you were already paving and that was based off expectation and all these other things. It's like you, I think part of growing up is realizing that the only way you're gonna be happy with whatever you're doing is if you're doing the thing that you personally want to do,
Mhm.
not the thing that necessarily, we were heading in the direction for, not necessarily the thing that other people think we should do. Because the only person that's going to know what that like right thing is you. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, and probably good timing on the figuring that out when you did, and it wasn't like partway through the 3 years, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I actually need to break my contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. Glad I got there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm a big believer in the everything happens for a reason, things work out the way that they're kind of supposed to kind of thing. And I think
Mhm.
that like the timeline of all of that could have unfolded all that much differently, but it kind of worked in the way of, we saw what the next period of time, the next era of our lives was going to look like, and what, may have sounded nice at the time it was brought up isn't necessarily the perfect picture that we thought it was going to be.
100%. Yeah, exactly. So many times we think we know what we want in a given moment, and then things happen a certain way, and you're like, actually, I really didn't want that. And I'm glad
Right.
that I'm not doing that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also like I have trouble with the like that thing sounds great in theory, or like I have no problem with this in theory, but then it's like it's happened like once it, like there's a separation between the like pre-perception and then the actuality of like, oh,
Hmm.
I'm gonna have no reaction to this, or like this isn't going to be as problematic for me as I maybe thought it was, and then it is, and it's like you also can't really know until you're like
Yeah.
in it or like right about to be in it, and then it's like,
Yep.
okay, that's where I guess the wake up call thing comes from.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And you have to try stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
Changing direction is just part of life, I think. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's such a weird just dynamic in high school going to college because people are like, so what do you want to do for your major and then
Hmm.
do for the rest of your life? I'm like, I'm 18. I don't know
Right.
about myself. So
Yeah,
yeah, changing direction is so normal.
yeah. Well, and you sometimes you have to experience things that you don't like just as much as ones that you do to figure out like that you don't like that's not the thing that you want. You can't
Yep.
just like you're not gonna hit the ball every time. You
Hmm.
you can swing and miss, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because that probably even really only solidifies more so the quote unquote right choice or where we ended up because we missed on something that we thought might be the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's been something that's been hard for me to learn, but it's been really good, is that perfectionism is not actually very effective. You know, you have to be willing to fail in order to actually get something worthwhile. And perfectionism for me has kind of held me back from even trying in a lot of things. And so yeah, that's such a good, I think, was it Michael Jordan who missed tons of shots to actually get some hoops. I don't know how that's like if that's how you say that, but like
Are
there's
you
a
thinking
specific
of
quote.
the you miss 100% of the shots you don't take?
Oh, maybe. I don't
Okay,
know.
that's a hockey player. But
No, okay.
Michael, I
Well,
think there's something with I think you're right about that. There is something with Michael Jordan. I think that I don't know what it is
yeah.
exactly. I know the 100% of the shots you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But I think there's
Hmm.
something separate with him as well. That's kind of the same concept of like you have to be willing to fail in order to succeed, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And you almost you have to fail to succeed.
right.
It's not you even
We
have to be willing to, but it's like in order to actually make the mark, you have to make bad marks and then adjust to get to the bullseye, you know?
mhm.
And yeah, it's easy to be like, I failed. I can never do this. I'm not meant to do this. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
good things take time and take a lot of faulty tries.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Because that also, to me, makes it a lot more like rewarding or worth it when it's like, I didn't just, this isn't I was born on third base. Like, this was I worked, I made mistakes, I took missteps and had mishaps along the way, but I finally got to kind of like the path that I'm supposed to be on. Like, it's like, I feel
Hmm.
it's just like, I think that you can't have good days if you don't have bad days. And so it's like that same thing. It's like if you don't have a couple misses, like you don't really know what like a hit feels like.
Yeah, 100%. Do you mind me asking what were some of the things that you had kind of tried doing before you're in your place now? What were some of the paths?
Um, I mean, the story I always tell people is until my junior year of high school, I was fully prepared to do something with numbers and math in college
Mm,
and moving forward.
yeah.
Math was my best subject. It was my favorite subject.
Nice.
And then that was like junior year was like the same semester I started like writing lyrics, which I had been trying to do for the last 2 years and couldn't. And I think it was pre-calc, and I just
Uh-huh.
struggled with it so much. I don't know if it was the teacher or just that like step or whatever it was. It was just like math started like stopped being as easy and as comfortable and as like that was my thing. And then the music kind of stepped in the door, and I was that kind of, I mean, that kind of shifted it completely for me. So I don't know if that's quite what you were looking for, but that's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
the I took a very different route than what 16-year-old me originally thought we were going to do.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So,
From math to music.
yep.
They're more compatible than we think sometimes. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. What do you find most often inspires your songwriting?
Hmm. This is actually a very interesting question because I was thinking about how I want to pivot that a little bit. Um, most of the time, the things that inspire my songwriting, if I'm being completely honest, is just me feeling like blah, and I just need to therapeutically write something to get it out. I mean, there are some times where I'm like writing for a specific something I've been learning and I really want to put it to song. But yeah, I was actually thinking about it. I was like, I actually more want to, I mean, still keep the therapeutic songwriting in there because that's part of what it is, but also let it be more of a lifestyle of intentionality. Like I want to write about this. I want to write about that. And not letting it always be a reactive thing. But yeah, in the past, it's been a lot of processing, and I've been through like a lot of painful things, and so it's been really, really good for me. Um, so I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, but yeah, I'm kind of trying to transition a little bit in that realm specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I say this kind of thing a lot of the time because I feel like a lot of these answers come from like personal experience that you have to like deal with and resolve internally for your own sanity, really.
Hmm.
But it's like people always say that it's easier to write like not so happy music than it is to write happy music because
Yeah.
it's it's an art form, and so it's something that we use to deal with whatever is at hand. You
Mhm.
don't deal with happy experiences. You deal with the not happy experiences.
Yeah.
So that's why it just kind of lends itself more to, you know, processing, like you said, and dealing with these different things. What direction are you looking to kind of like elaborate on the where you're kind of trying to shift it to?
Mm. Um, well, I'm a creative all around. So I do a lot of stuff. Like I write, um, I also do physical, like visual art.
Hmm.
Um, and then I guess my adventuring is kind of artistic too. So I like to backpack and do a lot of outdoor stuff and taking videos of those, to create some kind of compilation of things. And so I'm actually thinking about going in the direction of trying to kind of make it all one thing, emphasis on the music. So, things that I'm learning, chapters of my life, but then writing poetry or prose to make a video where I talk about it and my music's in the background, or it's just the music, or, my visual art is a representation of all of that. So that's kind of that's the direction I've been thinking about going for a minute now. But yeah, it's just kind of being an all around creative. I love all of the storytelling.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool to be able to like I don't like collage isn't the right word, but like, like a
Yeah.
collaboration of those different mediums because you probably gravitate towards different ones given the type of experience you're having and what the way that you want
Mhm.
to convey that and or maybe not even the way that you want to convey it, but whatever you're kind of gravitating towards in that moment probably then comes out with a different I don't know, mark a different energy to it than if it
Yeah.
was like packaged in a different way. And so kind of being able to find common ground and combine those could be a really cool like because then it's like it's just I feel like it embodies more of what like the artist word means when when you're more than the music because I feel like a lot of
Mhm.
people like a lot of independent artists in the music world are here and doing it because they love the songwriting and they just want to do the music stuff, which is great. But I think that there's an extra step that you have to take to be more of like truly an artist. And not necessarily in terms of doing all these other outlets, which I think is really cool, but like even just a like you have to be beyond the music and I feel like being able to combine these other elements is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very rewarding. Yeah.
I can
And it's
imagine.
interesting too. It's kind of like writing a song on different instruments, like
Mm,
writing a song on the guitar versus on the piano is going to get a different kind of song,
right.
even with the same subject. So processing or even just trying to represent something artistically in all the different mediums, all the different ways brings out different aspects of the same thing.
Hmm.
And I think for myself as an artist, I actually almost start with concepts first every time. Like I'm a big thinker. I really like philosophy. Um, and so I usually am coming up with something that I'm learning that I want to represent um, audibly, visually, you know, all of the different ways. And doing that with drawing versus a song versus a video. or a poem. Like it's all different, but it's different representations of the same thing, which is really exciting because so many concepts in life, there's so many facets to it, right? And so being able to examine the different facets through different art forms is really fun for me.
Yeah, no, and I think that your point about it being similar to writing on different instruments is a really good way to put it, is because you're 100% right. I play both guitar and piano, and if I start something one place, like if I get stuck with it, maybe I'll try the other, but then it'll become something slightly different than probably it would have if I stayed on the original instrument. And so it definitely, like, that's a really good way to put it, is like it's just it's a different medium, but it's like that's, as a songwriter specifically, that's a really tangible comparison.
Mm. Yeah.
If you had to create a new genre around your style of music, what would it
Mm.
be called?
Well, I tell people it's cinematic acoustic folk, but
Okay.
however you want to interpret that, that's the word. Yeah, well, the reason I say it's cinematic is because I'm just very dramatic, but also I'd say my first genre of music that I like to listen to is soundtracks. So I just love drama. I love a story sonically. And then acoustic is kind of where the down to earth, rhythmic, outdoorsy kind
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
sound comes in, where I'm not this like ultra polished, you know, bougie sounding artist. It's more like, I've got my guitar and I'm wandering around and writing songs as I go. And then the folk is, I, I just tend to, okay, well, the folk actually aspect of it is pretty thorough. Because a lot of times when people think of folk, sometimes they'll think of like 70s artists, 60s, 70s. Um, when I think of folk, I think of just the music of the people. So you can have Indian folk music, you can have Irish folk music, you can have, right? And it's kind of like the music of the general population. It's not the super elevated kind, like bluegrass could be kind of folk, or it's like Americana. And so when I say folk, I mean like the music that's not the most, expensive, educated, um, super hyper polished kind of sound, which I just love because in a lot of folk music traditions, songs were passed down orally. They were story songs, especially Irish folk music is kind of where I get that inspiration. But um, it's the music of the people, of the general person. And there's so much beauty in that and its simplicity. Um, and I also just tend to have a little bit of a ethnic sound in my music. I guess you could say it's more world. I just love all kinds of cultures' music, and so I tend to pull from different ones. Um, like when my last song that I released, Council of Love, people were like, that sounds like it was from Prince of Egypt. Or they're like, that sounds like it's Moana, like Hawaiian music. Or other people are like, that sounds Irish. And I'm like, well, whatever you want, I guess. But that's kind of where cinematic acoustic folk comes from. It's just an amalgamation of those things.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, 100% the acoustic is very like rooted in just like it's just more raw. It's kind of like it's music in its more natural form, if you will.
Hmm.
And I think like it's a good point about folk. The first thing I think of when I think of folk is like that storytelling, and
Yeah.
with what everything that you've been saying, with whether it's specific to the songwriting or, you know, representative of those other forms of expression that you pursue. I think that that very much kind of also falls in line with that. But yeah, also a good point about the world music with the folk and everything. I never really thought about that like that.
Yeah. It's very rootsy.
Yes.
Very, what's the essence of your culture?
Yeah.
Kind of thinking out loud here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got you. If you had to pick two or three artists that you think your music is like a combination of, who would it be?
Okay. So I think this is it. Sarah Bareilles, Aurora, if you know Aurora. Uh-huh. And Celtic Woman. Yeah. I know they're kind of all over the place, but Sarah Bareilles is the singer-songwriter, acoustic folk side of it for me. And then the Aurora is kind of the cinematic, zany side of things. And then Celtic Woman is the very like feminine, pretty music side of things. Yeah. So you throw it all together.
Yeah. No,
And
yeah. Sarah Bareilles is a previous favorite of mine.
nice.
I and I there was it wasn't even that long ago that I listened back to one of her albums. I can't remember which one, but I was like, there are no skips here. This woman is just really good at what she does.
Yeah.
Um, and she's got a very like she lived in that pop world for a bit with some of the songs that she had, but like
Mhm.
she had her pianos, she kept it relatively acoustic. Like she had what I wish pop music still was. Um,
Mm.
and
What
so
is that?
I like I the pop when I was into like what I would consider like the mainstream stuff was like that turn of the 2000s to 2010s, like One Republic when they did like Good Life and stuff like that. When you had the script doing Break Even and all these other things, and
Mhm.
um, I think you even can throw. I mean, he's still doing stuff now, and I still like his stuff. But like Matt Carney was in kind of that. Your Jason Mraz, like those
Yeah.
names. Um, because it was that acoustic, that wholesome like sound to it, but it was still pop.
Mhm.
And I'm always there's always going to be a part of me that likes the pop music, but I can't do all the processed stuff that it has been more recently as
Yeah.
much as which I feel like it ages me to say that I wish pop music used to be the way that it was. Um
Totally.
and but I can appreciate it for what it is now. It's grown, it's become whatever it has, but the Sarah Bareilles era of things was like that was my thing.
Oh, good. Totally. I think also with songs, I just heard someone saying this the other day that they're just like getting shorter and shorter. You have to cut to the chase
Right.
a lot sooner.
Right.
And a lot of songs will just start with a wall of sound right off the bat. And you're like, oh, overwhelmed,
There's
because
no
it's just
build.
so much. Yeah. And it doesn't give you much of
Right.
an opportunity to, get into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I miss that definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
2000.
Yeah, we, my fiance and I, when we go over home over the holidays, we drive from North Carolina back to the Midwest, and so it's like
Yeah.
12 hours. So part of that day, we usually listen to an old like classic rock playlist that I've built over the years. It's like 14 hours
Ooh.
long, so we never get through all of it.
Whoa.
And we'll
Yeah.
do a thing where we try and like guess who it is and guess what it is, and it's like sometimes we have to like skip ahead because like the intro will be like a minute and a half long and like
Uh-huh.
to get
Yeah.
to like even where you hear a voice and you're like, oh well, now I know who it is. But it's
Uh-huh.
like you don't get those like 6 or even 7 minute songs anymore. Like
Yeah.
it just you go like I I can't get my like and I personally can't write anything that short. It's just it's too like you got to have something that leads like you just got to like you can't just jump from one thing to the next. Like
Yeah. Yeah, you need a story arc, you
right.
need some time for material to build. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And like it's also like, it's you're supposed to add something new every like 8 bars or whatever it is. That's like the rule of thumb. It's like if you only like you can't like, you're not giving yourself any room to like build up to anything. And like what are we doing here that's making part one of this verse different than part two of it? And like how are we it's yeah, that's a good point. It's definitely lost its length. And which in some cases I think is fine because you can always have short songs, but we need some variety. We've just kind of all like smushed it down. I think we need another like
Yeah.
five, even just 5 minutes. Like give me like a 5 minute song. Well,
Hmm.
we don't have to go all the way to 7 or 8 and do all that whole thing, but like give me something that's more than 3 minutes. More,
Yeah.
give me something more than 4, 5, like right in
Yeah.
there. Yeah, we can have that and still have fun with it.
Yeah. That's the beauty of being an independent artist is you can do that.
Do
No
whatever
one's
you
telling
want.
you you can't. It's
Yes.
great. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to write long songs too. I do. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Just so much more fun to me. But sometimes there are short songs that come out of there, and those are
Yeah.
also great. Yeah, it's the variety I think that's really helpful.
Right. Yeah. I think maybe that's part of it is like I feel like more popular music has become more in the box.
Mhm.
And it's less like and I've listened to albums more recently of like newer, like in the last like year or two, and I feel like I'm seeing a lot of, not in every case, but in a lot of cases, like the song, like it all just kind of blends together. Like it's gonna take me a handful of listens to be able to figure out which song is which and be able to decipher these because they all kind of like I think we've, as much as genre has expanded and we go to subgenres of subgenres, and it's like everything under the sun can have its own category.
Yep.
It's every like individual projects, I feel like just get too bogged down by what they decided it was going to be and don't venture outside of that. Like
Mm.
I miss albums like I think, and she's one of my favorites, so this is an easier example for me, but like Pink would do ones, and it's like even Adele, who's like I feel like very, I'm not gonna say she's a one trick pony. She's great at what she does, and she does what she does really well. But even with her stuff being very piano ballady and everything, like there is some range. Like we have some that get a little bit more upbeat. We have some that are very much just like whole noted chords, and it's
Yeah.
just very simple. And like Pink had songs that were upbeat, and then they would kind of have that. But like I don't feel like we don't get a lot of that mix anymore. Like I want something that's a little edgier from you if you're a very like not edgy artist. Like I want something that like you write a lot of slower songs, like do something that's maybe a little bit different. Like I want an album that's actually like got some beef to it and not just the same song 10 different ways, you know?
Yeah, totally. It's almost like they're getting trapped by their own brand.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
This is a small example, but like for a person I've been working for, um, they're like, use ChatGPT for this particular template of our brand to run any response you have to anything through it so that it's consistent with the brand. And what's funny is, I mean, it's ChatGPT and it's the free version, but what I get is the same exact kind of responses every time.
Mhm.
And there's very little flavor. It's just kind of all one thing.
Right.
And I think maybe that's part of it where people are so concerned about being consistent with their brand that they don't feel like they can branch out a little bit, you know? And I
Right.
think the beauty of just being an artist, like your own artist, is that you are the person that you are. And no matter how far you stray, you're probably going to still have some consistencies because we all have consistencies within ourselves, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, so it's like being able to branch out is a good thing, but also having a consistency and not going like way off the wall, especially in the beginning of your career. You know,
Right.
you do want a recognizable sound, but I do like that idea of, yeah, being able to, let's go over here, you know, and
Right.
a little bit over there.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? Maybe in the future I'll do a little bit of R&B stuff because I like
Right.
R&B. Who knows?
Yeah. No, and there's nothing like that's a good way to put it is there's no like venture out of your comfort zone, but don't venture out of the overall zone. Like we don't have to go
Yeah,
completely off the walls and like do a full 180. And I'm not saying like if you're somebody who does these like intimate guitar and singer-songwriter tracks that you the next thing you release should be like a pop punk album. Like that's not the case I'm
right.
trying to make here. It's just like
Yeah.
have something that's got a little bit of change of pace. Like you know, we can do something that's a little bit different. You can still, I mean, it'll still be you because you're the one creating it, you're the one behind it. And it's just like, and it doesn't have to be this force, like, I'm going to try and do it this kind of way, but just like allow yourself the creative freedom to do something or some aspect of songs that you write a little bit differently. Like maybe take something that you've written and speed it up if that's not something that you usually do. Change the
Mhm.
key, change the structure. Like just you can work within your wheelhouse and do it in a way where it is something new and different and exciting without completely stripping everything that's you about it from it. We can have
100%.
brand and also have fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel about co-writing? Do you do much of that, or are you more like you write your own stuff?
I haven't done a ton of it. Um, I'm not opposed to it. I just haven't um, had myself really in that position.
Mm,
I think in the future that'll be something that I maybe try and do more of. I don't know if I'm there with it yet, just from figuring out where I stand and my comfortability with doing my own things.
mm.
I
Yeah,
feel
for
like
sure.
it takes a level of just overall confidence and comfortability in the way that you create and like seeing value in your own work that you're able to bring something to that table. And it's, you have to be willing to accept new ideas, but also like put ideas out there and have them even just be completely not the thing, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So,
It's interesting when you combine with other people, what they bring out
hmm
of you, you know,
yeah,
and of themselves, and then how you combine. It's pretty amazing. Kind of like friendships, you can be friends with one person and then friends with another, and one person's going to bring out a certain aspect of your personality, whereas another one's going to bring out another aspect. And that's what I find co-writing to be. It's really fun because you have your own voice when you're by yourself, and that's important. But then when you work with other people, they bring things out sometimes where you're like, oh, I never really would have done it that way. But
yeah,
yeah, I like this.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like different. It's like you said, different people get different sides of you,
Hmm.
because it's, it depends on that common ground. It depends on that yin and yang. So,
100%.
this is the point in the podcast where I take a question from last week's artist for this week's artist. So, the question from
Mm.
last week's artist is if you had to choose between only ever doing music in a live setting versus in a like studio recording it setting, which would you choose and why? Live
Mm.
forever or recording forever?
I would definitely pick live.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. There's something about a crowd. Um, I even sing better when I have a crowd of people than when I'm in the studio, ironically. And there's something about the energy of communicating to an audience that brings, I don't know, uh, this execution under pressure, maybe. And I guess being in the studio, there's also pressure, but it's something about the people that really brings it out for me. But yeah, in the moment music, especially with other instrumentalists or vocalists, it's so special. There's so much energy. There's so much, um, yeah, feeling that you get from live music, performing live music, particularly than you do from being in a studio. Um, I mean, I've been in so many settings where, like, I was in a choir, a symphonic choir, and there was an orchestra behind us. And just being a part of that giant wall of sound was glorious. And I would never trade it for building something in the studio. It was Mahler's Second Symphony. I don't know if you've listened to Mahler at all, but just this really amazing symphony and really intense at the end, and everyone, like, the conductor was like sweating and throwing his baton around, and like his hair was crazy, and we were all like, oh! It was crazy, but it was really fun. And the shared experience of being able to put something out that you think is beautiful, but then also having a crowd receive it and love it is like the best.
Yeah, I mean it's like kind of the virtual versus in real life conversation of like
Yeah,
virtual is great for accessibility and being able to, do the reach anybody, reach any time and all these things, but it real life just hits different.
it does.
Real life just hits different.
Yeah,
And I think that that's like live that live music is unmatched. It's one thing that just won't go away
yep,
ever.
yeah, so
As
true.
much as they try and bump up those ticket prices, right?
Oh my gosh. Seriously. I went to the movie the other day and it was like $24, $25 for one ticket. I was like, are you kidding me?
That's crazy. I remember the
Yeah.
days you could get two tickets for like 12 bucks.
Yeah. Seriously. It was like $7 back in my like really expensive town in California when I was 10.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What is your question for the next artist?
Yes. Okay. So my question is what is a message you would tell with your music if you could only ever say one thing?
Ooh,
So if you had one phrase, one sentence, like what would you say if that's the only thing you could ever tell people?
I like that. It's like it's almost like it's like a thesis statement, if you will. Like
Yeah.
it's like the one
Yeah.
thing, the one mark that you want to leave. I like
hmm
that.
Yeah. You could even say it like that. What's the one thesis statement you would
Yeah.
have if you could only have one with your music?
What would yours be?
Oh, mine would be so I'm a Christian, so mine would be Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And if you accept him as your savior, your life will be completely changed and you'll have hope in everything. So accept him. Yeah, that's the big one for me. That's kind of the whole reason actually why I continued with music. Ironically, because I've been just back and forth with music a lot over the years, with voice health issues, financial issues, so many things. And when I was kind of coming to the point where I was like, I'm going to move to Nashville, I just realized I was like, okay, like God is truly, He's given me a gift with music, with singing, with writing. And I want to give that back to Him in some way. And whether that's big or small, that's fine. But I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, like whatever I end up doing, I want the gospel to shine through that and for people to be able to receive it, if they want it, and to be uplifted through it. And yeah, it's actually really honestly the only reason I think I continued with it was I felt like, okay, I've been given a gift. I want to give back with it. And however that looks in whatever capacity it is, that's fine with me, but I'm going to do my best, to give it back.
Pass the torch.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it that you think sets you apart from other independent artists?
Mm, well, I guess a typical answer would be I am I am me. No one has my perspective because, every single human on this planet, we all are unique in our own ways. So I mean, but also, um, yeah, man, that's the things like there are so many people. The more I go through this, the more I realize like there are so many people doing similar things to me, all doing it, better than me or the same or not as good. And I think being in Nashville, especially, is there are so many talented people here. It's amazing. It's inspiring, thankfully, but it's also like, wow, I am a small little fish in a very big pond. And so it's kind of hard to be like, well, what sets me apart? But, like I am my own unique person. And I I think with my music, I really like to communicate the adventure of life. Um, the kind of the heroic journey of every single human. And that life it is an adventure and it might feel humdrum sometimes, but every single person has a unique story, and we all are going through life in our ups and downs. And I like to communicate that too, to kind of give life behind each person's story of like you might not feel like you're living in a movie story, but every person's story is more dramatic. It's more amazing than a movie story, because there's so much more to each person's life. And so, assigning that kind of meaning, I think, to each person's journey. Like you're living in a journey. You're living an adventure. Think about it that way. Strive for the good, you know. Um, yeah, don't succumb to the idea that life is meaningless because it's not. Yeah. That's kind of how I guess I'm separate or set apart as an artist is the adventure of life, of music. Let's communicate it musically. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I I mean it's like you said, it's nobody's got the same experience or the same background or history or whatever. And so it's all and so then with that, like we're all different as people, our perspectives are all different. So then we become then different as creatives. I think a big thing that is very decipherable is always the perspective and the message and the way that you like the message in terms of the content of the songs and the what you're trying to output in terms of like that messaging, but then also the way that it's packaged. And there's always like a unique combination of the two. Like, maybe you're saying a lot of the same things or you have a similar perspective to somebody that sits in a different place in the landscape of music and stylings and stuff like that, but you're the person saying it this way. It's like,
Hmm.
with certain questions that I ask, because I ask the same questions every episode, is I get similar answers. Like the songs I write come from personal experiences. The things like that is but it's always packaged in a different way. Like you're all like people like artists say some of the same things, but they're always articulated differently. And sometimes I'm like, that's a new way that I haven't heard that before. And that like, it opens, it's just like why we gravitate towards different music as a listener is like, you think of the universal themes, you have your breakup songs and your things like that, but like there are thousands and thousands of them. And what warrants that is they're packaged differently. The perspective on it is different. What they're saying is different. It's like, it's like, it's like taking advice from your friend when your mom's saying the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
it's sometimes is about the way that it's communicated. And that is ultimately kind of what I think like has us gravitate towards certain artists over others, which is I feel like
Mhm.
where you find the situations where like the people that are standing next to you at a concert are people that are probably somewhat at least like-minded to you because you connect with the same things.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so it's always like perspective is always what's kind of new and different, and that's the biggest thing that you can bring to the table. And so having that be the thing that you can kind of lead with as here's my take is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you like my take, great. If you don't, no biggie.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it'll serve the people that it's meant to serve. And for
Yeah.
those it doesn't, that's, someone else will do that. That's fine.
Yeah.
There's, we can't all like the same things.
Hmm.
I think that would lead to a lot of boring situations.
Yeah.
I think there's opportunity in the difference. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
What impact do you want to have with your music and with your artistry?
Mm. I want to bring hope. Yeah. I just want to bring hope. The world is a dark place in a lot of ways. And um, I mean, specifically through the gospel of Jesus Christ, but like there's so much that we could just fester in, in terms of hard things. And it's not like, you need to ignore hard, painful things in order to have hope, because sometimes you can't ignore it and you do need to process it and deal with it. But I want to bring um, just hope that there's good beyond the darkness one may be experiencing in a given moment. Um, and even in the present darkness, like there are so many, this is something I've been thinking about recently, actually, but gratitude is such a shift in perspective every single day. Half glass empty, half glass full concept. Like it really truly is. There's so much in life that you could be weighed down by, and there's so much in life that you could be brought up by. And so, just giving people permission to and the motivation to continue to hold on to what is good and what is hopeful and beautiful and joyful, and specifically through the gospel, I want people to know that there's hope even beyond death. And one of the songs that I wrote with my friend Caitlin, we're actually putting on an EP called The Quest. Um, Hopefully sometime in March. That's the idea. Her artist name is Porcelain. It's kind of like an adventure storytelling of the Christian life, but one of the songs is called Unending Bliss. And the chorus says, "For every scowl, there is a smile. For every sting, there is a kiss. Come with me and laugh at tomorrow. Your future is unending bliss." And the concept of the song is that, like, yes, there are really painful bad things and there are really beautiful, amazing things. And as a Christian, when you've accepted Christ, you actually have the luxury of being able to say, this isn't going to last. So I will let it take the time that it needs to take in my life, but I'm going to set it aside once I've dealt with it. And this is actually the thing that is going to last. And so I'm going to run and continue on my journey with the hope of the future that is bright and good and healed, I guess, whole. Yeah. So that's kind of my whole, like, that's what I want to do with my art, is to bring hope to a dark world that is full of, pain, and we all know it, broken world. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's the concept of in a way a concept of like the silver lining is like there's always a way out. Like everything, like, you know, just as quick as it comes in, it also can fade away. And it's always, you always end up in the situation where it's like, what is happening right now and what you feel like right now doesn't feel like it's going away because you don't have a finite, hey, I know, like, I'm gonna feel better by Thursday. Like,
Right. You don't know that.
you
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
that. Like that's not a
Mhm.
thing. And so you have this, there is, I mean, hope is scarce but important, I think
Mhm.
at times. And I think that, yeah, like you said, it's kind of the perspective of identifying that, we're not going to pretend that the bad things don't happen. We can acknowledge that they do, let them be what they're going to be, but not let them be anything more.
Yes. Yeah. Not let them weigh us down.
Yeah.
Continue on. Pro
Right.
tip.
Life has to go on, right? Like it's not
It
just done
does.
because we had a bad whatever. Like it's
Yeah.
just, it has to carry on.
Yeah. And it
So,
does, Yeah. Sun rises and sets every day. Yeah.
right.
And I don't know if anyone listening to this likes Lord of the Rings. Like, if you're going through a really hard time, make time to watch Lord of the Rings. It really helps. It really does. I don't know. It just makes you feel like, oh, okay, I can do this. I don't know what tomorrow, so I can keep going. Yeah.
That's something I haven't heard before, but
Yeah, there you go. You're welcome.
I think that brings us to the final question, which is why music?
I feel like it's in my bones. I'm just a music person. I sing every day, all the time. Every workplace I've ever been in, people have been like, "Oh yeah, that's just Chelsea singing. She always does that." Like, I can't help it. Yeah. It's it is just part of who I am. Um, and I've tried to distance myself from it. I've tried to run away from it so many times, and it just keeps coming back. So that's why it's persistent. Yeah.
You just can't escape it. So I guess we're just, if we can't shake it, or what is the saying? It's if you can't beat them, join them.
Yes, there you
So
go. That's why.
if you can't knock it, you just got to let it be.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Awesome. Well, on that note, I think that brings us to the end of this episode of the Why Music podcast. You can check back again next week for another conversation with another independent artist. Thanks for listening.